Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 229 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah, thought I'd add some
real jazzy version
snaps today. Today, recording day is Monday, October 16th, 2023. And it is, well, it looks like it's going to be a nice morning here at the Beaver Lodge. There was a little bit of drizzle as I was coming in today for the show, but we'll see what happens today. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, hey, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Monday morning bite for you, but before we do anything else, let's do the most important thing we do every day, and that's say hello to you, Mr. Grizzly, and ask you, how's your mental health today, sir?
Sorry, I had another sound going off in my ear there for a minute that really threw me for a loop. How am I doing this morning? Mental health-wise, I think I'm pretty good, to be honest with you. I can't complain. I'm tired. I mean, hang on, I got a video playing here, and I'm just trying to get a video to stop just playing, and it was in my ear, and it throws me to try and concentrate.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, chew gum and talk at the same time, and breathe and walk at the same time. Sometimes it's difficult for me, especially when it's early in the morning and I'm not fully awake.
Yeah, simultaneous interpretation, right?
Yeah,
they used to do that. So,
yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, no, mental health wise, I think I'm good. I'm really tired. I was in Toronto for the weekend and sold my car. Got the price I wanted. It was super happy.
Yes.
So yeah, I've got that monthly financial commitment is off my back, and I got a few bucks in my pocket. And the gentleman who I worked with. Let's see if I'm trying to get that to focus there. Come on,
Carnex. There it is.
Carnex. Yeah, James King. Check out Carnex on the web. They're great if you're trying to sell your car. James will take care of you. Really a super solid guy. Did everything. Everything's fully legit, above board. I have all the paperwork to back it up. He was just great. He was awesome. So originally we were going to meet at the Royal York where we were staying, but he's like, why don't you just come to my dealership and I'll put you in an Uber to get you there. And Bridget was like, oh, well, that sounds like extra work. And I go, no, actually, it's on the way. It's before the Royal York, so I don't have to drive all the way downtown.
Right.
We'll just drive to his dealership, and then he'll put us in Uber that'll take us right downtown. And I am more comfortable doing this at the dealership as opposed to the parking lot of the Royal York, because that just feels
a little seedy. It has
Yeah,
a seedy
right?
feeling to it, yes.
It does. Even though it was legit fully above board, it's like I just felt more comfortable going to the dealership and doing it there because it's all above board. And and a guy, Supergan Bridge, was like, you know what, you were right. That was the right decision. Of course it was. You know, it really was, to go to the dealership, meet James in person, sign the deal. All like, there's a financial burden I no longer have.
I know that
It's going to make a tremendous difference.
I was just thinking that the financial breathing room must be. Hopefully, that's going to contribute to a little bit of lightness.
Yeah, well, it's an extra $700 minimum in my pocket per month, minimum. That $700 is parking, insurance, and lease payment.
It's a BFD.
I haven't put gas in it yet.
Yeah, that's a BFD.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I got a few $1,000s out of the deal. So the car, yeah, great car. And he was like, dude, it's super clean. And I go, yeah, I didn't have a chance to detail it. And he goes, there's not much to do. You know, my ADHD. OCD,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, pretty much anything around you is immaculate. So
I try. They have an office in Mississauga and one in Toronto. The office we went to was on Consumers Road, which is right off Victoria Park.
Okay. And I want the kids and cubs to know this is not a sponsorship thing. It's just relating personal experience. But Carnix, if you are listening and would like to sponsor, we are.
I will actually reach out to him. Yeah, I'll reach out to him. Say, listen, you guys want to sponsor us? You know, we'll help spread the message. Because, hey, look, when you have a positive experience with the business, I want to
and selling a product we believe in is way easier.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm glad you had that experience.
And look, we all know how greasy the car business can be, right?
Mm.
So when you have a positive experience, you want to talk about it. And it really is a game changer, Mohan. You're right. It's a huge game changer for me. It will improve my life in ways that I'm not even fully aware of yet. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have... you sent me a video, sir, that we're going to get to in a minute. But did you see the Pierre Poilievre interview with the farmer?
I've heard about it. I've not seen much. I've focused on one thing only for this show because I knew that was going on and I had very limited time because I was busy making children happy. And there's nothing more important. So, but I heard it had involved like an apple. And I saw something that said around 2 minutes something went south, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet. So please.
I've got the 9.5-minute video, which we'll save for later, but I'm going to show you that the one video, it's 2 minutes long. This one clip.
All right.
You got to see this because it's like, holy.
Lay it on.
This is how he speaks to the average Canadian citizen.
Lay it on me. For me, this is a world premiere. Let's go.
Okay, you're going to,
I need popcorn. I have a feeling I need popcorn.
Just one. Oh, you do. This one's good.
That's life.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of vested interests and bureaucracies that are going to be very unhappy when I'm Prime Minister.
Okay. On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological spectrum.
I never really talk about left or right.
But anyways, I
don't really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
like who?
I don't know who, but
well, you're the one who asked the question, so you must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
what are you
also,
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a, you know, it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question is.
Then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense. Okay. Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
No, and it goes on for longer. I have the first clip I have is 9.5 minutes.
Okay, one, he just treated a citizen the way he treated that reporter.
Yep. Tells you exactly who he is. The minute you confront him with something he doesn't like, instead of having a conversation with you, he tries to ridicule you. Show me the page. Show me the page. Show me the page. What page?
Well,
cite that. I never
not
say
only
that.
He's like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to share the relationship I had before this one with my Beaver sweetie. Not a positive one.
Right.
Not a positive one. So not positive that I chose to not go on any dates and be single for 4 years after it was done. That's how not positive it was. That's abuser talk.
Oh, yes, it is.
Keep the same constants, change the variables. Make it a husband and a wife. Pierre's the husband, the farmer's the wife. And instead of why, show me, show me, show me, it's the husband accusing the wife of cheating or sleeping around.
Oh, yeah.
Even though she's not. But the constant accusations, it's putting the other person on the back foot and the defensive first so that you keep control. This guy kept on explaining and explaining and explaining, then backed up and then gave up on his question. And meanwhile, the guy who's doing that is sleeping with everything that walks by. If it has a pulse, it should hide. Because it'll jump it. But by putting the wife on the back foot, accusing her of cheating all the time, well, she'll never suspect that he is, because clearly it's something that enrages him so much he would never do it. Now, would he?
Yeah, he's always on the defensive.
He puts
it's just brutal.
Total abuser. He puts other people on the back foot. And when he does it to a journalist, it's one thing, because it's horrible, because it interferes with our right to cast a fully democratic vote. But when he's doing it with the citizens, as he just did there, he treated that citizen like it was a debate in the House of Commons, question period, and tried to crush him.
Show you this.
This is not okay. All right.
Wait till you see this. This is his tweet. Pierre Poilievre. How do you like them apples? Part 1.
Yeah.
It's 9.5 minutes, and it includes that clip.
Yeah. So it's framing. He's framing. Not only is he going to take on, right, the political parties, he's going to take us on like the average individual citizen. He's going to slap us around. That's performative for the base.
Oh, yeah.
And that
I'm going to be the tough man in Ottawa when I'm prime minister.
And then that thing at the end,
never going to be prime minister.
When he finally starts giving the answer, he says common 7 times within common sense, common people, common.
I don't want to punch him. I want to slap him.
Open face. Yeah, open hand.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to,
Wanting
obviously.
human, doing it criminal.
That's right. And we need to make that differentiation clear. I want to. I'm never going to. Because I don't want to get charged with a crime.
Also,
because he's not worth it.
Don't want to put that.
He's not worth
also
it.
don't want to put that juju in the world. You slap someone, you're going to get slapped back at some point. If not physically, life will smack you down. But no, this is just not on. This is just not on. It's really funny. It's there was something I saw. It was an old quote from a former staffer from Poilievre. Oh darn! You know, when they were talking about his charisma or something like that, it's almost like he has anti-charisma. He's
anti-charisma.
Yeah, repellent and whatnot, and like this and everything about him. He's like, you just need to experience him, and it's just, it's almost a gift how anti-charismatic.
Yes,
it is. And I mean, we mentioned it on a couple of other shows, right? Like all that money. It was $3 million they spent. $3 million that were inflationary. By the way, PP, to give him a makeover. And I think we said like a couple of weeks on the show, because there was a little time where he slipped. He let that nasty little bitch thing that he's got inside him pop out. And it was like,
oh yeah,
you can spend the money. You can spend all the money you want. You can put all the soft music over every single commercial you want with your wife speaking over it in her voice rather than yours. But that which is natural within you, when you try to suppress it, eventually comes galloping back. He cannot avoid being a dick. He's a douche face. Always has been, is, always will be, unless something major happens in life to smack him on his ass real hard and he wakes up.
Well, Linda's comment here, unfortunately, it's very possible that he may become PM. People will fall for this false aggressive confrontational crowd. And I'm not going to disagree with your statement, Linda. I'm not. That is an entire possibility, but I have reason to believe that he won't be around in 2 years' time for the next election. He's not going to last that long.
Not if he keeps this up. Not like this.
No.
This is toxic. I mean, he's going to be able to fundraise off this. He's going to send us to the base, but there's no way this plays with the public.
No.
That's just not on. That's just not on.
It's abusive,
right? But yeah, again, these are the same things people said about Donald Trump. Yep, that's true. That's true. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. Listen, he's following he is committed to following the playbook. He's committed to following the playbook. So, I mean, you can't pivot away from this.
No.
So he's committed. He's all in. So, like I said, it's, how do you say that? Bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for you. But,
that's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out.
All right. Okay. The big news. Well, the big news, as big as it can be, considering. But political news was that this weekend, the NDP had their convention. It was an event. It's kind of interesting because, well, here's the thing, right? It's not as exciting and newsworthy as the Conservative convention because it was the first one with PP as the leader. For Mr. Singh, the biggest excitement they could say is that it's, the first live one that NDP have had amongst each other in 5 years. Because with COVID and all that kind of stuff, right? It's not like the Liberal retreat where, the big horse race media line in the media now is like, oh my God, is Trudeau done? And will he now step down within the next 2 years? When will he read the writing on the walls? It's an 11-point lead and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So it's hard to get a little play in there. We got a shiny new toy, Conservatives with Pierre Poilievre with an 11-point lead. Oh my God, is Trudeau the world's global leader? And is he going to go down? And, meanwhile, Jagmeet's like going,
over here.
Over here. So,
put me in, coach.
Right. And, there wasn't going to be really anything all that exciting or tension building because it seems pretty clear that the confidence and supply agreement is going to keep going until 2025. So there's no big policy positions that are going to challenge that really, even though it's the first time for the membership to sort of express themselves on the fact that the deal exists. So, not very much tension. There was a leadership review. The first time, I believe that Mr. Singh had a review, I think he had scored 90%. I think the second time, 87%. But the most interesting thing that happened is that pretty much party insiders thought that it was going to be pretty much guaranteed he would score a solid 90 for sure. And he ended up with 81.
Wow.
Which 81 is super good when it comes to leadership reviews. But if you have your internal party strategist saying, oh, I'm pretty confident it should be at least 90, and then you hit 81, then all of a sudden it's, what happened? So maybe just a little too confident there. Yes, the Ontario NDP and the federal NDP are alienating a lot of people. It's true. It's true. It's true. I think there was an attempt to try to repair that in Mr. Singh's speech, as you will see. Repair that or give credit or try to guilt by association.
Okay.
So the opposite of that, sort of like success by association. So, for example, like really celebrating the NDP win of Mr. Canoe in Manitoba, even though Mr. Canoe asked Mr. Singh not to show up. Right? It's an NDP win, but only if you're working from the starting premise that the federal NDP, Manitoba NDP, and Alberta NDP are in any way really aligned.
Well, yeah.
Not
really.
Let's just say the jury's out on that one. They are roommates. One who works at night and one who works at the day, and they probably just cross as their hello, good night.
Morning, Ralph. Morning, Tim.
Right. So,
the sheepdog and the coyote. Remember?
Yep.
From Bugs Bunny.
So,
punch clock. Morning, Ralph. Morning, Tim.
Yep. So, but there were a couple of interesting things in this speech that I'd like to bring up. And when we do this, I always like to start with how the whole thing starts. Because, what you choose to focus on early on. Now, he starts with all the regular thank yous and all that kind of stuff. And Mr. Grizzly, I think I may have given you a wrong timestamp, actually, because I think I told you to start at the beginning, but I remembered that there's the thank you. So I'm not going to make everybody listen to that. So if you could start it about like a minute 59 instead.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my bad. I had Julie Andrews in my head. Just start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start.
You say so. All right, let's go.
All right.
It's really important that we are coming together right now. It's particularly important because New Democrats are needed now more than ever. People are going through a really tough time, and they need us. Canadians, a lot of Canadians right now are experiencing life that's gotten a lot harder. Most young people right now believe that they will never own a home. We know that if you're a renter, you live with a constant fear that the landlord could just throw you out just to make more money. And if you have a mortgage, you watch every month as the interest rates go up, knowing someday you just won't be able to pay the bills. Partout au pays, les gens vivent les impacts de la crise du logement. Prix des loyers records, rénovation, manque de logement, pire marché immobilier du G7. C'est ça la vie sous Justin Trudeau. Et quand on lui demande ce qu'il va faire, il répond que ce n'est pas sa responsabilité. So what is Justin Trudeau's answer to one of the biggest challenges of our time, the housing crisis? Well, he said that it isn't his job to fix it.
All right. The thing I want to point out here is that he wasn't even 3.5 minutes into it, and he's already whining about Justin Trudeau.
How very conservative of him.
Now, interestingly enough, throughout the entirety of the speech, he really did launch some attacks on conservatives. Finally, the NDP seems to have learned the lesson that you need to attack the other party as well. But they are still doing it in a way, in a frame, where the outcome or the desired outcome for them is New Democrats first, Conservatives second, Liberals third, rather than New Democrats first, Liberals second, Conservatives third. That changes your style of campaigning depending on what your outcome is. Because he still seems to have a primary focus on making sure that the Liberals are third and that they replace them as the option rather than making sure that the Conservatives should not even be considered as an option. But at least they're finally taking swings. If you listen to the whole thing, it's so that was a positive thing. But he started off right off the bat not talking about what it is that he's bringing to the party, where it is that they want to go, supplying some motivation or some momentum or whatnot for the movement.
Yeah, let's attack the current leader. That's not.
Yeah,
that doesn't fly very well.
He continues on to talk a little bit about the mood of anger going on at the time. He says, people get angry when they see how hard it is for them to get by while others are living better than ever. Justin Trudeau wants to ignore your anger, and what Pierre Poilievre wants to do is use your anger to divide our country. But when I talk to people who are angry about the cost of living, it makes me want to work harder for them and to make Ottawa work for them instead of the rich and powerful. See, the thing is, we all know this. Corporate greed is causing inflation, and that's where we need to fight.
That's true.
That's true. And then later on, he's talking about food prices and wages. And he says, grocery store workers literally went on strike for better wages because they couldn't afford to shop the stores they worked at. They were right to go on strike. I spoke to these grocery workers. I've heard their stories. They deserve higher wages. And I can tell you something else. I've been on picket lines all over Canada, and I can tell you the way you get a powerful paycheck is with a powerful union fighting for a bigger share of the profits the workers create. That's the way you do it. So
that's the right thing to say because he's dead bang on accurate.
Exactly. And he's going after Pierre. The way you get a powerful paycheck is with a powerful union, and considering that, well, Pierre has voted against every single possible legislation that could give any possible additional benefit to any worker whatsoever, or the right to fight for better wages.
His voting record is available to see. He's voted against every positive, progressive legislation, every single piece of legislation brought forward that would benefit the poor, the working class, and the middle class. He's voted against all of it.
Yep.
$10 a day daycare. No, doesn't want it. Pharmacare, doesn't want it. Dental care, doesn't want it. Increasing minimum wage, doesn't want it.
Bonus statutory holidays, votes against them.
Doesn't want it.
Increasing minimum wage or establishing the federal minimum wage, votes against it. It's not what you say. It's how you vote.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you vote. It's what you do. It's how you vote. All right. Now, the midsection of his speech, the reason why I read those two quotes is because, the content is actually bang on correct. And they're boilerplate, but good boilerplate statements. There wasn't particularly anything special to the deliveries, so put him in. But where the mid part of his speech is, from about 12 minutes to 25 minutes, he's got a solid 13 minutes in there where everything is just really sort of like pretty darn good, I have to say, in terms of what an NDP message you would expect an NDP message is, and the way he delivers it and the way he gets some applause from the crowd. So I'm pretty much going to show you that block, but I'm going to divide it in 3 parts because there are 3 specific themes. So I believe that the first one we're going to talk about is things having to do with foreign affairs. So, Mr. Grizzly.
It's not just the threat of climate change that we have to face. Our world is also becoming a more dangerous place. Russian aggression towards Ukraine threatens the stability of the whole world. Foreign interference and the shocking revelation implicating the Indian government in the murder of a Canadian on Canadian soil makes so many in our country worry for their own safety and doubt the promise that this is a country where freedom of expression is guaranteed. And as we watch the horrific violence in Israel and Palestine, we confront the reality that it is always innocent people, children especially, who pay the price for war. It is 1 week ago today that we woke up to the news of the brutal attacks by Hamas on Israel. In the last weeks, I've heard from many who've shared their personal pain. Jewish Canadians, descendants of Holocaust survivors who grew up hearing the stories of their families being dragged out of their homes and killed. They now watch these videos of young people, young Jewish people attending a music festival, shot dead or taken hostage. They fear that the world's promise of never again has been broken. I've heard Palestinian Canadians who grieve for those killed by bombs and rockets and live in fear of what tomorrow will bring. Their families are caught in a never-ending cycle of death and destruction. They're watching as Palestinian people are punished for terrorism they had no hand in committing. It is hard to see a path out of this darkness. There can be no justification for the torture, murder, and sexual violence committed by Hamas. And we must call for the immediate end of the killing of innocent civilians in Gaza. The world cannot stand by while the people of Gaza are left to die. New Democrats have always been the ones who nurture the desire for peace. Even when the louder voices call for war, we can never surrender to despair. And we can never forget that we share a collective humanity and a collective responsibility to protect all people from violence and terror.
Okay. So clearly, lots of applause there. Some good points to make. Again, he's very uniquely positioned to speak about anything regarding India.
Oh, yes.
The one thing, however, is I am pretty certain that when the whole Israel Hamas thing blew up, that there were NDP organizers from the convention just basically slamming their fists on a desk and yelling the little big F-bomb to the sky. Because I do not know. Listen, this is an important issue. And of course, as a political party, you're going to expect that the leader is going to have to take a position, particularly if the leader aspires to be prime minister one day. But we just saw one party in the previous election the Green Party, totally implode on the issue of Israel and Palestine. It's one of those big things. And here we have the NDP again. Just can't seem to. Here's the thing. If you're a political party, your number one business is to provide policy and provide a program for the people of the country you seek to lead. So taking your position on Palestine and Israel should be done with that lens. Now, yes, we are dealing with a human tragedy and a humanitarian tragedy. And there's a lot of people for whom you turn around and says, well, you have to add the morality element. But if we're talking about real politics, what you need to do is to frame that position you take as being somehow in your national interest or being of national interest, and not primarily first a humanitarian interest. As humans, yes. As politicians, that's not the way the game is played, unfortunately. So when you spend so much time on an issue that no matter how horrible, and like I'm saying, like this is like being purely Cartesian, removing the emotion out of it, that doesn't put any food on the table of a Canadian, that doesn't find them a job, that doesn't get them health care more quickly, that doesn't educate their child, no matter how terrible the thing over there is going on. Yes, Canadians want you to be on the right side of the issue so that they're knowing they're voting for a party and a candidate who's decent. But it's not the issue they're voting on. The Hamas-Israel conflict is an issue, maybe maximum, that's decisive for what percent of Canadians?
Very small percentage.
You should not be sacrificing your party's agenda for this. So at the convention, the membership wanted an emergency debate on this. Again, I understand, and to the people that are directly affected, and people have friends who they love that are there, this is important. But if your goal is to present a policy platform to start setting the stage for an election in 2 years, and you spend a whole section of your convention having an emergency debate about something that's going on somewhere else, rather than healthcare or affordability or education or whatnot, it may not be the most effective use of your time, strategically speaking, in terms of having a platform where the whole country is actually paying attention to you and asking, well, what are you going to do for me? If you're being totally and completely calculating, and you say, we've got 2 days, what do we want to use it for? This is probably not it. Probably not it. The issue was made a little complicated by the fact that the convention was being held in Hamilton, which is the same riding provincially, where an NDP MPP named Sarah Jama, I believe earlier this week, came out and made some statements that ended up soliciting a lot of emotion. And of course, provided a wonderful opportunity for the caucus of the Ontario PEC party to say, "Oh my God, we must get her to resign, and she must be ejected from caucus." Well, you've got the whole RCMP investigating your government thing going on, and none of you have stepped down, and not one of you members of caucus have asked for your premier who got you into this mess to step aside while the investigation is going on.
It's pretty bad optics.
Hey,
come on, man.
Just Hey, why not use the Palestinians one more time, right?
Yeah,
It's not like they're going through enough, right, Doug? Huh? So Q, Sarah got tossed under the bus. Yep. And Mohan, the Green, had squandered the climate opportunity because in the last election, that was the big thing. Everybody had their eyes turned on climate, and they decided to fight about. So this issue, for some reason, hey, and it even had it happened at the Pride Committee in Toronto one year. Like this, everything got hijacked by that issue. There was people within the community that wanted, to be a part in the parade that took a strong stand on that, and everybody was like, turn around. But it's like, but the goal of this parade is pride, not that issue. And it's like, well, it's like, yes, but we need to use our privilege to. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, if you want to have a float or a banner on your thing, sure. But I mean, we don't need to make the theme of the parade this, do we? So there's, so it turned out that while Mr. Singh was delivering the speech, that there was a little bit of a protest in the hallways on that issue.
Yes, I did see that.
Again, here's the thing. Again, if you're going to do that at the convention, you're already pulling focus from the convention. If you're doing it during the leader's speech specifically, why are you working against your party? Why are you bringing attention to that issue over and above? I understand strategically, if you want people to pay attention to it, you do it during the speech because, yes, that's when all the media is there and you create a kerfuffle. Oh, what's going on? People go and take a look. And it's the best way to get yourself on media, to get yourself coverage. But you are doing it at the expense of your party's own leader at that moment. Once again, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you did it. If you're a good member of the party, regardless of your difference on this issue, you make your point in such a way that does not detract from your leader's moment, your party's moment. The leader's speech at a convention is the party's moment. If a media is not going to send anything to cover the whole damn thing whatsoever because it's all the NDP fourth-place party, they're boring, they've already sold out, they might still send someone to cover the 30 minutes of the speech. You're pulling focus. You're making a moment that's not supposed to be yours. And you're doing it at the expense of someone who's supposed to be on your team. Doing counter-programming from the Liberal convention. Yes, your own convention? Dudes.
Yeah, it's
What the F? What the F is wrong with you? You've put your cause above your party. At your party's own convention. I understand putting cause before party. But at your own damn convention, no, that's the exception to the rule.
It seems to be a bad timing, maybe a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. It's the opportune timing if you want to get coverage for your cause. But it's the worst possible time to detract, to pull attention away from your leader and your party. There was a trade-off here. And someone sat in a room and decided, you know what? Screw the party. This cause is more important. The point, and it's not, sorry, I shouldn't even say the cause, because clearly the cause of wanting to stop what some people fear might be a genocide from happening is a very worthy cause. But your moment of protest in favor of that cause, you put that above your party. And your party is in a way better position to do something about that cause than your. So, and if you humiliate your party while making your point, then what is the likelihood that even if they want to do that, they want to do that with you as a member of the initiative. If you want to be involved in the solution, I just don't get the logic of pulling focus away from your own event. Yeah, not the best thing. All right, Mr. Grizzly, the next thing that Mr. Singh talks about is, well, this is the thing where he sort of does a really interesting thing. It's only about 10 seconds later, the start of it, where he goes coast to coast. I'll say coast to coast to coast this time, but I don't think he touches much on the north here, and talks about the whole NDP sort of movement. And you know what? As a spin doctor here, I have to give him a lot of credit because he's taken what little he has and he really, really is spinning the most possible gold out of it that he can. I have to say, this one, you get points. Mr. Grizzly.
Okie dokie.
Everywhere I go, I hear Canadians who tell me how frustrated they are with Justin Trudeau. They are just done with his delay and disappointment. But let's be very clear. Pierre Poilievre is not who he pretends to be. He would make life even harder for working people. When he had the chance to build homes that people could afford, he failed. And we only need to look at Doug Ford to see what Conservatives truly think are solutions to the housing crisis. Sell off public land to rich developers. Thing is, that's exactly what Pierre Poilievre has promised to do. He claims to care about working people. But you'll never see Pierre Poilievre taking on rich CEOs. He voted against having a federal minimum wage twice. And we don't forget that he passed laws to make it harder for unions to win better pay for workers. He made it harder to get a pension, delaying the retirement age to 67. He doesn't want you to get a pension, but when he retires, he will have a six-figure taxpayer-funded pension every year for the rest of his life. So you see, for Pierre Poilievre, it's all an act. He pretends to care, but he doesn't know how regular people actually live. Pierre Poilievre doesn't want to help, he just wants power. And he will use that power the same way Conservatives always use their power, to make the rich richer and to take away every bit of dignity from working people. Pierre Poilievre a beau essayer de se présenter sur une jour meilleure. Mais on se rappelle de ses 9 années au gouvernement, coupure d'impôts pour les grandes entreprises et coupure de services pour le reste d'entre nous. Il a eu sa chance et vous en payez encore le prix. Maintenant, il veut couper dans votre pension et dans la science-emploi pour mettre plus d'argent dans les coffres des grandes entreprises. Elle veut couper le programme de soins dentaires alors qu'elle a lui-même une couverture payée par le public depuis 20 ans. Pierre Poilievre va vous coûter cher. But here's the good news. Across the country, New Democrats are fighting back against Conservatives and winning. We are winning. Here in Ontario, Merritt Stiles took on Doug Ford and won. Our Ontario team saved the Greenbelt and exposed the Conservatives' corruption. And now the RCMP are actually investigating Doug Ford's government. In Saskatchewan, Carla Beck is standing up to a bully, Scott Moe, a man who wants to distract from his horrible record by targeting the most vulnerable kids. Shame. And thank goodness for Rachel Notley. When conservatives like Daniel Smith want to destroy the Canadian pension, they've got to go through Rachel and the Alberta NDP. They're standing up strong and fighting back. And of course, we have to celebrate the incredible victory of Premier Designate Wab Kinew in Manitoba, who beat a conservative government. NDP, 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 NDP.
I hate the barking, clapping seals thing when any party does it. Just putting that out there. It drives me crazy. Like, why? Why?
See, Wab faced one of the most disgusting campaigns in recent history. Conservatives actually put up a billboard to highlight their promise not to search for the remains of murdered Indigenous women.
That is true.
That is true indeed. And to that effect, interestingly enough, it seems that over the weekend, well, I guess she's still premier for a couple of days until, because I don't know exactly. Maybe, yeah, no, she did step down, I guess. But anyway, Heather Stefanson, I don't know what we would refer to them before they're like fully gone yet, but they've been voted out. It seems that the NDP, yes, but as well several progressive Conservative Party insiders, including the party president and the campaign co-chair, have panned as too negative the election effort, particularly the campaign about those ads about standing firm against the landfill search north of Winnipeg for the bodies of 2 First Nations women believed to be the victims of a serial killer. Just light stuff, right? It seems that she is apologizing now for the ads promoting her decision. Well, sort of. And says she's, again, as a party leader, taking responsibility for the campaign, but again, in a way that has no consequence because, I mean, well, she's already lost. So, and, well, she's not going to be staying on to fix it. So it's pretty much just sort of like, oh, well, I guess we're going to have a new person coming in and we don't want the stench of this to transfer onto them. So I'm going to say I accept full responsibility and hopefully that stench of that decision is going to leave with me. But here's the thing. Quote, there were times where it was a little uncomfortable. There were some unintended consequences where we hurt some people. I apologize for that because it was not intended to hurt anyone. I am sorry, sister, because I'm not going to go so far as to say what was in your heart. But even though it may not have been intended to hurt anyone, there's no galaxy, solar system, universe, planet, continent, country, area code, or postal code in which a reasonable person could not expect that this type of rhetoric would hurt at least one someone. It wasn't intended, but you could have probably seen that it would, and you decided to go with it anyway. So if it wasn't intended, you knew it would and you didn't care. That's probably what you should be apologizing for. Not caring who would get hurt.
Somehow, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. But she stopped short of calling the ads a mistake. So,
which is,
right. And she also made the point of saying, but she had to make the point that she was standing firm. No, you didn't have to make that a point. And if you had to make it a point, you certainly didn't have to make it a point like that.
Yeah.
Not in the way you did.
No kidding.
Like, seriously.
Yeah, but
it's not a fulsome apology again. Right?
No.
It's like the Doug Ford. And it's like, I take full responsibility. Sorry, but we have to build 1.5 million homes. We just have to. And, you know, that's all I was doing. I was just trying to build those 1.5 million homes that we really need to. You're justifying while you're apologizing. It's not an apology.
It's not an apology.
There's no buts in an apology. But I had to make the point. You just ruined your apology. You just ruined it. Just little tiny things, and that's what makes me say that's what makes me turn around and then say, well, no, clearly this wasn't that. This was an exercise in cleaning up the mess so it doesn't transfer onto the new leader. That's all it is. Because if it was sincere, you'd say it was a mistake and that you shouldn't have done that. And there would have been no buts. All right. And since we're speaking about that, let's go to 2404, Mr. Grizzly. And here's the thing, right? You'll notice in that whole previous section, he started with a slag against the prime minister, but went immediately into Pierre Poilievre and delivered most of his time, including, you know, the portion in French that was there, to attacking Poilievre. So I'm liking this. Yeah, the prime minister terrible, but Poilievre, he's the one that's really it's like, you know what? If you want to slag the prime minister that way. Now he does it. He slags the prime minister on this one at the beginning in a way that I'm not too cool with, but the rest of the point that he's making is very, very, very good.
Where was this held?
In Hamilton.
It wasn't Hamilton again. It was.
Yeah,
that's what
Andrea
I thought.
Horvath opened up the thing, welcoming again, which was also a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But nowhere is liberal failure more clear than when you look at their broken promises to Indigenous people. Justin Trudeau promised to end boil water advisories, but there are still so many Indigenous communities without any clean drinking water. I visited Niskandiga, which has had a boil water advisory for 28 years. I listen to adults who have never been able to drink the water, and children who ask the question why they don't deserve clean drinking water when it is a fundamental right. Justin Trudeau promised to implement the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, but in 7 years, only 13 of 94 recommendations have. He promised Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirited people that he would keep them safe. He would take steps, take action. But he drags his feet on simple demands like creating a red dress alert. There is only one party in Parliament that holds Justin Trudeau and the Liberals accountable for their broken promises to Indigenous people, and that's the New Democratic Party. That's us. We're the only ones. The reality is, Liberals only act when New Democrats force them. That's how we got Medicare, and that's how we are going to win Pharmacare as well.
Okay, let's stop there.
Right now.
So, I don't like it when politicians attack him on the water thing.
No.
But also, if you are on that territory that he mentioned, and it's been 28 years since you've had potable water that you can turn on the tap and just drink, you may be very, very happy for everyone else whose problem has been solved until now, but you still haven't had drinking water for 28 years. Going, dude, what the F? Right? I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Right? But again, as a national picture, right? And then Saucy Seawitch, you shouldn't do that by force. You should do that by good policies and negotiation. And yes, Saucy immediately after that continued a section of that speech where Jagmeet Singh used his favorite word over and over and over again: force, forcing. We forced. The government didn't want to do this, kicking and screaming. We forced them. If it wasn't for us, it wouldn't have been done. Thank God we were there to force them. We forced this. We forced that. He really likes the word force. Really likes the word force. We'll go to the end of it because I liked this a little bit. So those were the main points, and that was the strongest section, and those followed one after another in his speech. So like I said, he had about like a solid 13 minutes of good stuff, that got good applause from the people that were there, and that were interesting points that you'd want to make and some interesting ways of making them. Mr. Grizzly, if we go to about 32:21, we get to the sort of big finish, the sort of stump speech portion, where he tries to bring it home, so to speak. Sorry, PP. Hey. I saw this tweet. It just reminded me. I saw this other tweet where he said something about businesses being able to transfer businesses within the family, keep it in the family to bring it home. And I'm like sitting there going, like, well, if you keeping it in the family, did it not leave home in the first place? What are you bringing home? I'm confused. Anyway, that's a digression. Mr. Grizzly.
Who writes this shit?
A lot about the world I want for my daughter, Anhad, who'll be joining me on stage hopefully soon. My parents came to Canada so that we could live a better life. I also want Anhad to be able to dream a future without limits and to know that she can make those dreams come true. I want her to know the value and reward of working hard, but I also want her to have time for joy. Je veux que Anhad puisse choisir comment vivre sa vie sans peur. Je veux qu'elle sache toujours qu'elle en aura assez. Assez d'argent pour combler ses besoins. Et assez de temps pour passer avec les gens qu'elle aime. Je veux qu'elle se sente toujours en sécurité. Qu'elle sache que nous prenons soin de notre planète et de notre avenir d'une manière qui assure non seulement notre survie, mais notre bien-être. So many people tell me that they're just exhausted. Like Amber, who broke down in tears telling me how she had to rewrite her household budget 6 times and still couldn't find a way to choose between rent or food or gas to get to work. She is doing everything right, but still somehow falling further and further behind. It shouldn't be this hard. Canadians need a government that makes life easier, a government that works for you so you can build a good life, a home that you can afford, work that pays the bills and leaves you with enough energy to play with your kids at the end of the day, a family doctor available when you need one, enough money left over to take a vacation, knowing you can walk into a grocery store, buy what you need, and get those special treats for your loved ones, and not have fear that you can't afford it. Less worry, more joy. Less fear, more hope. Less greed, more compassion. New Democrats, we have a lot of work to do. Are you ready to take our vision to Canadians? Are you ready to work hard? Are you ready to win?
There we go, Mr. Grizzly. Now compare that that vision he has to, remember Pierre's? Sitting on a cold sitting on a porch, cold drink in your hand, Canadian flag waving, finally breathing a sigh of
paycheck in the other hand.
Paycheck in the hand, breathing a sigh of relief because finally we're home. The effort was worth it because finally we're home. This sounds much more like Canada. What Mr. Singh is describing.
Yes.
Sounds way more like Canada. How long has he been leader? Mr. Singh's been leader 6 years, Dan. So, yeah. I thought he had been around longer. I thought for sure it had been 8 because I remember we had a conversation where I said, it's been as long as Trudeau. And you said, no, he hasn't. And you're right, 6 years. During which the party's fortunes have dropped from 44 seats under his predecessor to 24 in the 2019 election to 25 in the last election. Of the 59 seats, one in Quebec under Jack Layton, only one remains. Monsieur Boulris, who does an amazing job. Last election, if you added up the People Party of Canada vote to the Conservative candidates tally, there's about 20 ridings across the country that could have gone blue, including a half a dozen NDP seats. So the People's Party did have a bit of an effect last election. According to David Coletto of Abacus Polling, he says that there are some things in recent polling that he's found about the NDP. He says there's no evidence about the supply agreement dooming the NDP to the dustbin of history. He says basically, if you look back since the time Singh became leader, in almost every survey, the NDP popped in around 16 to 20%. Some polls have them at about 21 now. So it doesn't seem to be tanking the party. In terms of those who say they're open to voting NDP, that's around 41 to 43%, and that also seems to be rather stable. How people feel about Mr. Singh, who is still the most popular leader, it has gone a little more negative, but that's mostly conservative NDP swing vote who were upset with the NDP for having made the supply confidence agreement. With regard to NDP or Liberal voters, his popularity has not gone down. So against people that are most likely to vote for him anyway, the popularity has not gone down. He has the most he has the best net favorable of all the leaders at the moment. The main concerns is by-elections. In the recent by-elections all across the board, regardless of the type of riding the election's been in, their vote has been down 5 to 8 points, while the Liberal vote has actually held up. So for a party and a leader that's supposed to be unpopular, it's not really showing up when people are coming to vote at the voting booth and having to choose between NDPs and Liberals as an option or a counter to the Conservatives. Though the NDP has been gaining vote from the Liberal decline, the funny thing that's happening, and they have a net gain totally from the Liberals. What's happening is because of the swing Conservative NDP voters who are solidifying for, who are solidifying for the Conservatives because they're upset he made that deal. So he's basically gaining 1 in 4 of those who said they voted Liberal in 2021, but he's losing 1 in 5 of the people that said they voted NDP last time to the Conservatives. So he has a net gain, but that's why his numbers, the party's numbers, doesn't seem to be growing, because whatever they're gaining, it's almost whatever they're gaining from disaffected Liberal left pushes the disaffected Tory centrist back into the Conservative camp. So it's like he can't win, because whenever he makes an inroad on one side, he loses on the other, which is similar to the Conservative thing with the PPC. If they go more to the center, then people move to the PPC, and if they go more to the right towards the PPC, then they lose their centrist vote to the Liberals. So both these parties are walking a bit of a tightrope at the moment. And then it seems that while they're doing well with Canadians under 30, they're getting about 30% there. Almost anyone over the age of 45, it's not happening. They're pulling at 14% with them. So yeah, the part. So it's like the gamble that they took on.
They got to chase the youth vote on this one though, because Gen Z is the next voting block, and it's a pretty big one actually.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're looking at this as a long-term play, setting the base. I mean, if he's got 30% among under 30, at some point those people do become 45, and 30 is better than the 16 to 20 range.
Yes.
So if you're playing the long game, and people are wondering why is Mr. Singh still there, he is appealing to the other generation. If you're looking at this as a generational exercise to supplant the Liberals, maybe, but there may not be a payoff for another election or two.
I'm sorry, did you say he's been there 8 years or 6 years?
Jagmeet Singh 6 years, Trudeau 8 years.
6 years. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was. Yeah.
Yep. So
so Jagmeet doesn't have his golden. It's interesting because I noticed in the chat when Jagmeet was talking about how Pierre Poilievre gets his 6-figure pension, Jagmeet doesn't qualify for it.
Not yet, but soon, because I think it's 6 years.
8 years.
I thought it was 6 years, but you had to win a full. Okay, it might be full 8.
I'm pretty sure it's 8 years. Well, we'll have to check into it. But either way, he might not be entitled to that just yet.
Yeah.
But,
But when he made the deal, he certainly wasn't.
That's right. If he is entitled to it, he should mention that in his speech. I don't think he's entitled to it yet, which might be the reason he didn't mention it.
Let's see.
I'm not sure.
Let's see here. How long do you have to work for the Canadian government? No, that's Canadian government. No, I want MP.
Yeah, Member of Parliament.
Member of Parliament.
When does a Member of Parliament qualify for their pension is the question. And I think it's 8 years.
Huh. How are the benefits?
Maybe it is 6, but I thought it was 8. I've been wrong before.
Yeah. Well,
these
things change too along the way.
Yes.
But I thought for some reason I thought it was 6 because you had to at least be re-elected. Yes, there we go. Members who are at least 55 years of age and who had at least 6 years of accrued pensionable service before January 1st, 2016 are eligible.
So he's not eligible yet by that sound.
But that's November 30th, 2020 data. I don't know if there's anything more recent, but that's what seems to be up currently on the Treasury board. So that's as of 2020. So yeah, it is 6 years. So when he made the supply and confidence agreement deal, he wasn't 6 years, but he's probably closing the gap. Yeah, I think it's 6 years or well, I mean, it's obviously 2 full terms if it goes say a 2 full term, but I guess you could retire halfway through your term and still qualify. I guess the 6 years allows for the fact that the second term might be a minority government that goes early.
Right.
That was probably the compromise when they were negotiating. But yeah, there you go. That's from the convention. There didn't seem to be anything too controversial when it comes to proposals. I'm sure that there probably was some type of, I'm not sure if there was a proposal on Israel or Palestine, or simply just the emergency debate that was voted on. Hopefully I will get more information on that. But Mr. Grizzly, I think before I want to go, I want to celebrate some Canadians.
Well, I got a story to tell you first.
Okay, please do.
So as you know, I was in Toronto for the weekend, and I went down, made a deal, sold my car, got a couple of bucks in my pocket. We went out for a bit. We went over to Real Sports, went wandering around downtown. I wanted to meet up with my cousin and another friend, and we had tentatively scheduled to do that, but they were both sick, so that didn't happen. So we went over to Real Sports for a bit because the All Blacks are playing Ireland in the Rugby World Cup, and the All Blacks won, New Zealand All Blacks. It was a very close match, a very good game, and Ireland almost pulled it out of the fire, but they just had no gas left in the tank. So the match finished, and we went for a little walk because Bridget needed some fresh air. And I said, "There's an Irish pub around the corner I want to go to. It's called PJ O'Brien's. think I got the name right. It's owned by the Pat Quinn's family, former hockey coach Pat Quinn. And they have the Pat Quinn room, which they expanded into during the pandemic. They were able to renovate, upgrade a lot of the things, because the pub's been there since 1966. So we go in, we sit down at the bar in the Pat Quinn room, and it's filled with Irish rugby fans, but Irish rugby fans from Ireland who live in Toronto. We sit down at the bar. There's 4 chairs sitting there facing the screen. We turn them around and said to the bartender, he says, yeah, that's free. Go ahead, sit there. We turn the chairs around, sit down at the bar and talking to the bartender. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a pint and this and that. And then this lady comes along and sits. So Bridget's on my left because my left ear is the one I can hear well. And my right ear is a 40% hearing. So it's like, if you talk to me in the right ear, I can't hear you. So this young woman comes up and says, can I sit here? I go, yeah, cheers, empty. She sits down at the bar, pulls out this bag, puts it on the table. She goes, would you like some goat cheese? I'm like, what? She goes, have some goat cheese. So we started eating goat cheese. She goes, here's some jelly beans. Pulls out a 2-kilo bag of jelly beans. Have some jelly beans. She goes, how about a pig penis? I'm like, no, I could do without the pig penis. She's like, it's for my dog. I'm like, okay. Thanks for the cheese. Thanks for the jelly beans. And by the way, what's your name? She goes, it's Bridget. I'm like, shut the front door. I'm in a Bridget sandwich. You know that this doesn't happen. I'm between 2 Bridgets at a pub in downtown Toronto with a bunch of rowdy, sad, but still, joyful Irish rugby fans on a Saturday night. And I'm like, this is just very bizarre. Very strange. So they start having this great, Bridget, I'm a Bridget. How do you spell it? Oh, I spell it this way. Oh, I spell it this way. So they're having a back and forth and they're exchanging Instagram accounts. And then she says, my cousin, she's been to Ireland many times. That's why she likes an Irish pub. This woman lives in Florida, by the way. And Friday night was in Ottawa and Saturday went to Toronto. She was following a musician. And she says, I need to show you a picture of my cousin who, when he was on vacation in Florida, it's like, here's how you spot the Irishman on vacation in Florida. And I don't know, I had to take a picture of her phone and well, this is the Irishman on vacation in Florida.
Oh my word. Oh my word. For people who are listening at home, it's basically somebody who basically slathered a t-shirt on himself in basically sunscreen.
Yep. Yeah, he had no sunscreen, just he had a t-shirt. She said he had polo and long pants on and he was out in the sun and his arms are
wait a minute.
Reddish orange.
Wait a minute. That wasn't sunscreen on this, like that's actually
nope.
him. Oh my word. That's even
funnier. No, that's his skin. That's actually him. Because he had a polo shirt on. Yeah. So his face and arms are reddish orange.
Oh, wait. I thought that was the zinc from the sunscreen that he had just slathered a t-shirt on himself. Oh my God, he's actually that white. Oh my.
Oh yes.
Poor guy.
Well, he's from Ireland. That's where they make the white people,
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Okay. Yeah. Celebrating some Canadians. Whoa, on the tennis courts. Not 1.
Oh,
not 2.
I have another story for you. Keep going.
3, not 1.
This is tennis related.
Not 1, not 2, but 3 titles for Canadians over the course of the weekend. First, Leila Annie Fernandez.
And that's where my story is.
Oh, your story's a Leila story?
Yes.
Okay. She defeated Katerina Siniakova to win the WTA 250 tournament in Hong Kong. You have to understand that, after the foot injury, she, right around Wimbledon, was on the verge of dropping out of the top 100 in the world, and she had been as high as 13. She's back up in the top 50 and close to closing in on top 40. Great win. Okay, you say you have a Leila story. Lay it on me.
So last Sunday, called up my buddy. I go, yep, I got a couple of pints of Guinness Zero and a cigar and sit on the porch. He goes, yeah. He goes, Eric's coming over. I go, cool. So I sit down. Eric joins us and we start talking and the conversation goes back and forth and back and forth. And Eric says, yeah, I'm just talking to my buddy the other day, Chico. I go, Chico. Yeah, that's what we called him growing up together. We went to last year of elementary and we went to high school together. Yeah, his daughter's a tennis player. She's pretty good too. I shit you not. He grew up with Layla's dad. They grew up together. They still chat from time to time. Yeah, because they're from Elliott Lake, and that's where she's from, right? Yeah, that was. I go. Wait a minute. Layla Annie Fernandez. You know her dad? He goes, yeah, we grew up together. And I'm like, dude, do you have any idea? He goes, she's pretty good at tennis, eh? I'm like, you don't know anything about tennis. She's one of the best tennis players in the world. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. Just totally. That's my buddy Eric. He's just this really humble dude. A really humble dude. He was a SARTEC, right? So he was airborne. Then he was spec force, and then he'd be remustered as a search and rescue technician. So I mean, he's seen and done it all in the military.
Wow.
But he's just a really humble guy and a sweetheart of a human being.
Jeez.
And yeah.
Cool. So wow.
See if we can use the channels to maybe get an interview.
Oh my God, I would die.
Well, I don't know that it's even possible. She's a very, very busy person. But you never know.
Totally fan Beaver. So it was her first title since winning a tournament in Monterey about 19 months ago. So, she's definitely had to put in the work. And Siniakova didn't make it easy on her. She just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. So it was a very, very, very solid win. As well, Gabriela Dabrowski from Ottawa, along with her partner Aaron Ratliff, continue to roll. They won the 500 event in Chengdu, China. And it seems that with doing that, they have qualified for the WTA finals, or they're close to qualifying for the WTA finals, where they have the best 6, I think, or 8 doubles duos for the entire year. And they play a tournament against each other. And again, when they won the US Open, that was just their 4th tournament together. So they managed to qualify basically between July and now. So they're probably the hottest doubles team in tennis at the moment. If you can qualify for a year-end championship within 5 months of the 12-month year, that's pretty good. And then this guy named Gabriel Diallo, watch out for him. Him and Alexis Garneau, the next generation. They're the ones that got us through that Davis Cup. Well, he won his 2nd Challenger title tour in Bratislava. Over there. Straight sets, 6-0, 7-5. So pretty convincing win. And along the way, he beat Dominic Thiem, who's also coming, trying to climb back up on the rankings after disappearing. But Dominic Thiem was a top 10 player just a few years ago. So, yeah, just good news all around from our Canadian tennis players, from our Canadian athletes. There's stuff about our golfers as well. There's like 4 of them that finished in the top 20 in a PGA tournament, including Adam Hadwin, who finished 2nd. There you go. Good stuff all over the place. I know you have a heart up, Mr. Grizzly, so I am going to say we have a show.
We do.
All right.
We do.
All right. We do.
Can't speak right now. I'm tired. We do.
Yeah. All right. We do. All right. Kids and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring. Word of mouth is priceless. So share the word about us because you have the mouths we want the word coming out of. Because democracy is something that you do. Please donate to the Red Cross if you can and write those letters. Trust me, writing those letters really matter because remember, in New Brunswick, that that education minister said he had hundreds of letters, and turns out they had to write 3 because they had none. And Mr. Moe, it seems, has received no complaints at all, actually, from parents requiring him to call people in an emergency basis on October 10th to try to pass that notwithstanding legislation, which, by the way, has some really interesting things in it that we'll get to that Frank Dominic brought to our attention. Sharon's pod page, podpage.com, sponsored by the Ray Girl, if you do not want to miss anything. So that's podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words, and the squiggly by Mr. Grizzly's head. That brings you to our coffee page, coffee, ko-fi.com/Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you can make your contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund. We work for tips, so please be generous. We really appreciate everyone. And since you like subscribing to things, as Kit Elaine often reminds us, smash the button before you leave on our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page. Like, share, subscribe. 3 buttons for you. Have at it. Enjoy yourselves. I think that's everything I got here. So from the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
When between two bridges, enjoy the cheese and the beer, for life is short, and you need to smile a little bit more.
Oh, it rhymes. I like it. Oh, Mr. Grizzly, please roll them credits.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
All right, kids. Before I had some stuff for you, but I think we have a hard exit, so I'll save them for tomorrow. Mateo says bye, everyone. Bye, Mateo.
See you, buddy.
Lovely to see you. So you all just have yourselves a wonderful day, and rest in peace, Suzanne Somers. All right.
Take care.